Takuma is a lonely gamer who plays an MMORPG game as Diablo, the true Demon Lord. He is accidentally summoned into an alternate world as his MMO character, and his summoners are an elf girl and a cat girl, and they kiss him on his cheeks. They walk together away from the tower, and the girls are disappointed that the ritual has failed. On their way, the elf girl introduces herself along with the cat girl to Diablo, Greenwood, and the cat girl is Rem Gallo. They call Diablo a rare summoned creature, but Diablo instead calls himself a demon lord. A woman called Seals enters the room and Diablo recognizes her as the head of the Mage Association. Diablo, however, puts fear into his bones, and the man walks away like a coward. Rem refuses to tell him anything, but Diablo realizes this could be a story event that could turn into a disaster later on, so he takes her back into his room to torture her. She tells him that she only wishes to release and get rid of this demon lord from her body, as it has caused her great sadness and loneliness. Diablo tells her that he thinks this will kill Rem and learns that this is the real reason she knows Seals. Diablo goes on a walk around town, reflecting about this entire day as he is used to being a lonely person. He uses his power to summon a giant red salamander that is level 30. The mage tells the dragon to summon another fiery attack towards Diablo. However, it does absolutely nothing once again as he is level 150. The mage demands to know who Diablo is, and he states that he is the true demon lord from another world. They head to the Adventurers Guild to determine their level, and to be able to go on quests. As they are walking away to buy potions, they are ambushed and bounty hunters kidnap Shira. More of them attempt to ambush him, but Rem and Alicia take care of them. Diablo runs in super speed to catch up to the opponents, and Alicia and Emil appear to corner them and destroy them. Emil learns about the bounty hunt that has been placed on Shira, and they ask him what he will do about it. Emil, as always, chants that he will be the protector of all women, and that he will defend Shira. He leaves, and Alicia apologizes for letting this happen and pledges that she will not allow this to happen again. Diablo tells her that she shouldn't be so hard on herself, and tells her that she should instead be more self-compassionate. She has no idea how to take advice. Alicia is hungry, and they go to a cafe. At the cafe, Seals visits them and tells them that she's found a way for Diablo to take off the slave collars off Rem and Shira. She leads them to a cavern where there is a slave merchant inside. The owner greets the group and thinks Diablo is attempting to sell his slaves. Diablo yells at her for being wrong, but she notices that there is an immense amount of energy flowing from his body. Shira also says that she can see Diablo's body, which shocks Rem and Alicia. The slave owner also sees the enormous amount of energy coming from Rem, and asks her if she is pregnant with a demon. Diablo interrupts her and Rem asks if Shira has been able to see her magical ability this entire time. Shira explains that she has, which is why she picked her to be her adventure partner. Rem says she's glad Shira is such an idiot, and leaves. Diablo demands that they learn how to remove the collars. The slave master tells Diablo that he needs to remove the slave collar through magical flow and physical contact. Plot develops. A lot of plot develops. Diablo finds a thread and attempts to follow it deeply within. Magical energy emanates into the room as he unleashes his power. Shira says Diablo is pouring into her. Gigdu. At night, Diablo reveals that he was unable to finish the ritual because the magical knots were extremely hard to follow and he was unable to untie them. Diablo hears the sound of a flute coming from outside and a young male elf is standing outside. The elf introduces himself as Shira's brother. Diablo is extremely angry and yells at him for putting a bounty on his sister's head. He tells him that he will never hand Shira over to him, but her brother simply states that he was happy to see his sister is in good health. He apologizes for the bounty, but Shira isn't convinced by his acts. Her brother proceeds to ask if Shira wants to come with him or stay with Diablo, and she states that she wants to stay with Diablo. He states that he will be polite and leave, but he will be again tomorrow to ask again politely. If Shira still doesn't want to come with him, he will simply never come back or bother them again. Diablo thinks there's no way Shira would ever think that. At night, Shira stays up talking with Rem, telling her about her dreams. She wishes to open a cafe with them, where Rem is the waitress and Diablo is the server. Rem asks her why they're involved in her dreams, and Shira states that it is because they are her first friends here and she cherishes them. Rem says she's sorry because she is unable to be part of her plan for now, as she has a burden to deal with. They play with each other and the poor demon lord can't sleep. In the elf territory, Shira's brother sits on top of a tree, where he plays his flute. He states that he will have Shira be his again, and that she will bear his child. Diablo has a dream of when he was a child, where two of his friends were playing with him and asked him for stronger equipment in a game. They called him his friend, and the next day he came running to play with them again. However, he just found out they were calling him a weird kid, and that they just used him to get his equipment. Rem and Alicia leave to report about their encounter, and Diablo starts to create a potion to make sure he is prepared for what will come. As he talks with Shira, he hears the flute playing again in the distance, and Shira's mind appears to leave her body. She tells him that she will no longer stay with him, and that she will will be leaving home. Shira leaves on a carriage with her brother, but Diablo doesn't ask her. Instead, he goes and lays in his bed, extremely sad about what just happened. Rem and Alicia see this, and they come to ask Diablo why this happened. Diablo doesn't answer their questions and instead continues laying down. Later, Rem joins Diablo in his room and tries to be nice to him and talk about Shira. She wonders if Shira could have been hypnotized by Kira, and Diablo realizes that he also thinks that may be the case because he was hearing the flute. He reflects on his past about how people he once thought were his friends were actually using him. He is worried that Shira will also reject him. However, he realizes that he needs to get her back and not allow this to happen. Alicia decides to join them too, and they set off to confront Kira. Meanwhile, inside a tent, Shira is now captured and chained from the ceiling. Her brother tells her that it is futile to escape, as his flute will allow him to control her and brainwash her at his will. Kira then yells at Shira to tell him what orders Diablo asked of her, and she answers truthfully, but this doesn't satisfy Kira. He gets angry and doesn't believe that a demon lord would only make her shake hands with another girl. Kira hears a giant explosion outside, but ignores it. He sets loose a green slime kun that begins eating at the fabric covering her skin. As it gets worse, Diablo breaks in, yelling and burning everything around him to cinders. He regrets that he didn't deal with him earlier and uses his scythe to free Shira from her constraints, killing the slime. Kira sees that all his guards were absolutely destroyed as they were no match for Diablo. He sees that the entire field was burned down. Kira asks if Diablo wants to start a war with the elves. Diablo doesn't care about any of that. He only cares to see if Shira wanted to return home or not. Kira commands her to answer that she wants to return to her brother, but Diablo counteracts this. He forces her to say the truth by activating the slave collar on her neck. Shira cries as she is able to tell the truth, and says that she wants to be free and go home with Diablo and Rem. Kira realizes that he's in a bad situation, so he decides to summon the Hydra to fight against them. This is the 11th strongest beast that is forbidden to be summoned, as it has the power to destroy the world. Diablo steps forth to face off against it. He thinks that he hasn't seen this creature in his original Cross Reverie game, and neither was Kira's flute. But this only excites him. He starts the battle off by using Heaven's Fall, which destroys the Hydra's heads, but it immediately regenerates its other head. The Hydra uses Dragon's Breath to blow him backwards. He is unable to reflect the attack because it is not a magical attack, leaving him at a disadvantage. But this isn't the only. Powerful summons always have one skill. However, this Hydra has multiple overpowered skills. All the heads spew the Dragon's Breath, sending Diablo running. Kira reveals that Diablo will never be able to defeat the Hydra because it has a moving weak point in its body. But Diablo uses this to his advantage. He runs under the Hydra and uses his overpowered abilities to destroy it in its place. Diablo planned to kill Kira, but Shira stops him because he is still her brother and has grown up with him. She wouldn't want him to die. Kira runs away like a coward, but out of nowhere is beheaded by the ruler of the city, Galford. Him and his entire army appear as if they had been planning this. He tells them his wish for starting war, and tells his soldiers to kill off all the elves in the forest. Diablo demands to know if this was all part of his plan to seize the forest, but Galford refuses to answer, and just traps Diablo in a sphere-shaped grid that's designed to capture large monsters. Diablo is unable to escape. Alicia tries to find out why Galford is acting this way, but is unable to knock sense into him. She threatens to stop him with her sword, but it instantly gets destroyed. Anybody seen this guy somewhere else? This astonishes Diablo as he sees that Galford's speed surpasses human limits, making him at least above level 110. Diablo struggles, but realizes that he could trace the string down to its core like the slave collars. He breaks out of his confinement, and this shocks Galford. Galford uses his superior abilities with the sword to maintain a close distance, and unleashes a barrage of sword attacks against Diablo. However, Diablo's agility allows him to dodge all the ensuing attacks. Diablo casts Super Mind that forces Galford to move back and be careful with his movements. He casts multiple Super Minds around the field. Galford attempts to move forward, but one of the mines explodes. Diablo attempts to use this to his advantage by creating a freeze zone to trap him. However, he breaks out of it and leaves Diablo in a very compromised position. This was his plan all along, and it appears that Diablo is about to be finished off with his flaming sword. Diablo, at the last second, casts Lightning Bullet at Galford. Diablo doesn't kill Galford and pretends that it was because he lost interest in fighting such an unworthy thing. Galford threatens to report Diablo to his superiors, but Alicia tells him that she'll also report Galford if he does so. Diablo tells Galford that he will fight against him whenever he wishes. Galford surrenders with his soldiers and Rem approaches him and asks for any spare potions so that she can heal the fallen soldiers. Meanwhile, Diablo attempts to make Shira feel better and comfort her as she has just lost her brother. Diablo is drained out of mana points and lays in bed exhausted. The guildmaster, Sylvie, comes in with alcohol and tells him that he will be able to restore his mana. Diablo thinks that he can't get drunk in this game. But after a single drink, our man loses his mind and develops plot. Alicia is seen slaying a group of people and stating her distaste for mortal races, while another man slays a village for worshipping the Demon Lord. Alicia sees this man at the kingdom, Sadler. He asks her if she's heard of the prophecy concerning the Demon Lord's revival, but she attempts to ignore it. Meanwhile, Diablo is training Rem and Shira to engage in combat. He shows her how to use a flying turkey to observe his view and fire an arrow from a far distance. They walk to a river, and since Shira didn't get to develop plot last time, she will develop it now. Diablo sits back and tries his hardest not to break his November challenge. Edelgard appears out of nowhere and grabs Rem, confirming that she has the soul of Krebsgolm. Shira is confused by this, but Rem later explains her backstory to Shira. Shira tears up and promises that she will always support Rem and be by her side. Edelgard then explains that there is a way to extract the demon's soul out of Rem without killing her, and this is extremely interesting to Diablo although he wishes to kill Krebsgolm. They both want to get the Demon Lord out of Rem, but Diablo wishes to kill it to keep true to his promise for Rem. Diablo agrees to help out Edelgard but secretly knows that he will kill the Demon Lord. She tells them that they will meet in 3 nights from now on the same pillar, where Diablo was summoned. 3 days pass and Diablo's group at a restaurant filled with cats until they're visited by Alicia, who asks them to return to the guild. Alicia warns them that there is a paladin known as a Sadler in the town and he hunts anyone who believes in the Demon Lord. His strength and power is said to be equal to that of Galford. They attempt to sneak into the city but unfortunately end up facing against. They attempt to hide their identity but our protagonist reveals himself because he isn't afraid of anyone challenging him. What a legend. Sadler gets ready to destroy him, and Rem attempts to reason with him. However, he chokes her and says that it is God's will. Diablo, however, releases the magic and understands that this guy is taking advantage of people by convincing them these are God's actions. Sadler attempts to petrify Diablo, but he uses his demon ring to mirror that ability back onto him, and they manage to get away safely. Diablo decides to let him go for now, but is weary of Alicia. They decide to reveal to Alicia that Rem has the soul of the Demon Lord within her, and Alicia is extremely understanding and promises to also support Rem. They head to Starfall Tower to meet with Edelgard, and she doesn't seem surprised that they brought Alicia along. They perform the ritual. Edelgard explains that Diablo needs to physically touch Rem until he pours all of his energy into her. Giggity. The energy overflows the tower, and Krebsgolm appears and introduces herself. All of them are confused that it looks like a little girl. Diablo doesn't hesitate and introduces himself as the true Demon Lord. Krebsgolm powers up and is ready to destroy Diablo, but she has no idea how to do so. It appears that she has amnesia and Rem understands now why she doesn't look like a fully developed beast. She begins chanting that she doesn't need to kill people if she doesn't want to. Alicia, however, begins saying that it is the duty of the Demon Lord to kill people, and Edelgard attempts to back her up. However, Krebsgolm is confused and says she doesn't know why she would want to kill humans anyway. She is just hungry and wants food. Shira decides to throw her a biscuit so that she could eat up, and Krebsgolm realizes that her duty in this world will be to eat all the biscuits in the world. Edelgard realizes that as long as the Demon Lord has been reborn, that is all that matters. A mysterious beast comes and introduces himself as the one who has served Demon Lords for generations. He offers to sacrifice the rest of the people present for the Demon Lord, but Krebsgolm refuses it because she wouldn't be able to get any biscuits. He is confused and upset because he wanted to follow through with her mission to get rid of all the mortals in the world, and he calls Krebsgolm an incomplete reincarnation. He is ready to kill her, but Edelgard stops him as she will not allow him to kill the Demon Lord. Diablo interferes and attempts to save her before she dies. He then faces off with the beast and casts spells against him, but they do not damage him. The beast casts Quartz Lance, but Diablo reflects it with his demon ring. The demon recognizes this power as it is an ancient power that existed from the beginning of time, and Diablo knows this was just one of the raid bosses he killed early when the game was released. He dashes at Krebsgolm to attempt to kill her, but Diablo does his best to fend him off. Diablo proclaims he is the true Demon Lord, and this sends the enemy flying. They arrive at the city, and agree to call Krebsgolm Clem to avoid her being identified as the Demon Lord. Shira and Clem attempt to help Diablo regenerate his mana points by developing plot. because of course that's how it works. In her room, Alicia remembers her childhood and resolves that she will follow the Demon Lord's wishes to eliminate all the mortal races. Later that night, down a dark and narrow alley, Alicia holds Kelm by her wrist and Rem states her curiosity as to where Alicia is leading them to. Alicia reveals her true nature and intentions to have Clem regain her memories for her to become the Demon Lord Krebskalm. Alicia also revealed that she was the one who caused the beast to be summoned in the city. They are confronted by Sadler, and Alicia tells them that Rem and Clem are Demon Lord worshippers. Rem summons her beast, but Sadler's soldiers restrain it and finish it off. Rem tries to attack him. However, she is just restrained. Alicia tells her that Clem needs hatred. Diablo searches for Rem, Clem, and Alicia and believes Sadler to be the reason they went missing. Rem wakes up in an iron cage inside a wagon and talks with Clem. Rem tells her that she has suffered so much because of her existence, but she doesn't want to kill her. Clem says that she understands as she was also imprisoned for a very long time and wants to be nice to Rem. Rem makes Clem promise that she will never kill a mortal being no matter what, and Clem promises. The wagon stops at a church and this show turns into 50 Shades of Grey. Diablo attempts to get the help of guild members, but realizes that no one would want to talk to him as he is a demon. He attempts to ask them for help, but his game character forces him to be mean about it. A young boy tells everyone in the guild that there is a young cat girl being taken hostage, and Diablo begins to go running after them. A swarm of fallen surround the city and are ready to attack it. Back at the church, Sadler is still torturing Rem, but Clem attacks him. He draws his sword at Clem, but Rem protects Clem by embracing her and taking the sword blow onto her back. Sadler stabs several swords into Rem's back. Clem sees this and expels a surge of energy from her body, and Rem realizes that this is why Alicia wanted her to feel hatred. Clem has fully awakened as Krebskalm, and she eviscerates Sadler along with the field. Diablo finally arrives at the scene and is joined by Shira, who manages to locate Rem's whereabouts. Diablo hands Shira all of his healing potions to use on Rem so that she doesn't die. Outside of the city, Edelgard and Ulrich along with a massive army of Fallen are happy that Krebskalm has finally resurrected. The two are joined by Alicia, who appears to be the mastermind behind this whole plot. Diablo faces off against Krebskalm and Shira uses the healing potions to heal Rem before she dies. Diablo runs across the field and lays down trap spells. When Krebskalm uses Darkness Breath, Diablo counters it with a volcanic wall. Shira uses her last healing potion, and Rem regains consciousness and tells them of Alicia's betray. Diablo keeps getting knocked down and struggles while fighting against Krebskalm. Diablo realizes that he doesn't have any potions as he's given them all to another person, and that he's not used to that. Emil comes to save Rem and Shira from an attack, and Diablo has finally completed his spell and set all 13 traps. Diablo casts Apocalypse Abyss, and the entire field explodes. Krebskalm, however, is still alive. Rem runs towards it and shows her she is still alive. She touches Rem, and her armor breaks and they are finally reunited. The beast is about to ridicule Edelgard and Alicia for failing, but they begin attacking them to escape. Sylvie meets up with Diablo and thanks them for stopping the terror that was about to ensue. Sylvie suggests that they will need to get rid of Clem as she is a dangerous threat. Diablo wishes to keep her, and Sylvie trusts him, but she doesn't trust Clem. Diablo asks if Clem would be okay in being his slave if that will allow her to keep living here. Rem and Shira assure her that Diablo will never ask anything of her, and so she agrees. That night in Diablo's room, the girls are ready to enjoy a lot of plot development. They have fun, but Shira is held with a knife to her neck. Clem threatens Alicia to release her or she will be killed, but Diablo tells her not to kill anyone. Alicia promises to allow Clem to do whatever she wants to her as long as they heal Edelgard. They see that Edelgard is extremely wounded, and that only Clem would be able to heal her. She tells them about the encounter with the beast, and how that was the reason for this to happen. Diablo agrees to heal her, so Clem follows through and heals Edelgard. Clem orders Edelgard that if she truly wants to obey the Demon Lord, then she should stop killing mortals, otherwise she is not a true follower. Edelgard agrees to obey Clem's commands. Alicia agrees that she will face whatever consequences are necessary. Rem asks her the reason for her siding with the demons, and Alicia blames it for her uprising and the disgusting nature of humans she saw as a kid. Diablo relates to the things he experienced, but Diablo tells her that it is still her choice what type of life she decides to live. He tells her that she should find a new purpose in life which makes her cry. He is exhausted and ready to fall down, so all the women agree to help him recover his mana points. You guys have been doing absolutely great at flooding this community with love recently, so let's keep it going. Let's confuse all the fake fans together once more by saying I didn't know Kirito was part of this anime. That'll be the funniest way to confuse them. Also, if you're a fellow man of culture, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys for continuing this journey with me, but it doesn't end there. If you blow this video up with likes and comments, I will be uploading the next part of this adventure tomorrow. Till next time, peace.